All right, good evening. Welcome to the Hiking My Feelings virtual campfire. My name is Sydney. Say it.
And my name is Barry.
Nailed it. So we are here in Jackson, Michigan.
Yes.
Yes, we nailed it. The days are starting to run together. Today we just completed day 8 of our hike across the state of Michigan for Take a Hike Diabetes. And we are broadcasting live from the New Hope Community Church, also known as the ancestral lands of the Fox, Peoria, and Potawatomi people. And to kick things off, we'll do a quick update about the Take a Hike Diabetes campaign so far. So as a community, we have hiked 25,492 miles for diabetes awareness. Round of applause. We have 173 registered participants in the Take a Hike Diabetes Challenge on the Kilter app. So thank you everybody who has signed up. Thank you for donating your miles and your hard-earned dollars to the cause. We have raised $17,261 so far. So round of applause, yay. So if you're unfamiliar, Take a Hike Diabetes is our year-long campaign to raise awareness for diabetes awareness. And we are on a mission as a community to hike 1 million miles for diabetes awareness. And as a function of that, we have 3 main components of the campaign. So we are offering a free 30-day program for diabetes prevention and management, and that walks you through different tips and tricks and resources for nutrition, mindful movement, and stress reduction. So go ahead and check that out. You can find more information at hikingmyfeelings.org/diabetes. We also have the Million Mile Challenge on the Kilter app. So that is the technology we are using to track our progress towards that million mile goal. And we have 25,492 miles registered so far. So kick it up a notch and join us and count those miles that you're already hiking towards our goal of 1 million miles for diabetes awareness. And finally, the last component of the Take a Hike Diabetes campaign is our tour across the country. So last month, we wrapped up our 217-mile hike around the city of Chicago. Barry, thoughts, quick recap?
Long and hot.
Long and hot, that's correct. So we started that hike on June 1st. We wrapped up on the 20th for a total of 217 miles. And over the course of that journey around the city, we had close to 50 people joining us on the trail at various points. And for most weekdays, we had a crew of about 8 to 10 hikers joining us. So big shout out to our friends Ish and Molly and Erica and Andrea and Raza and Hannah and Will, who was the intern at the Outer Belt. Now he's getting ready to go off to college this fall. Jay, who founded the Outer Belt. And who else were some of our regulars? Was that the core crew?
I think so.
I think so. And then shout out to the group that's doing the section hiking of the Chicago Outer Belt. If you live in Chicago and you're interested in checking out this trail, hop on Meetup, and they have a group of about 700 people that are doing this hike in sections around the city. And if you want to do a big, massive through hike, word on the street is they do this annually. So you can check out outerbelt.org to learn more about that. So we loved it. It was hot, and it's also the longest hike we've ever done. So big celebrations for us and for diabetes awareness. And between Chicago, so we wrapped that up on the 20th, and then we went to the Shed Aquarium for a VIP penguin meet and greet, courtesy of one of our donors. So thank you, Marcy, for donating those spots to help us celebrate our accomplishment of hiking 217 miles around the city for diabetes awareness. We got to meet Iris and Mercedes, the cutest penguins at Shed. And we got to see the underbelly of the aquarium and understand more about how the animals are cared for. And it was just really cool. So thank you to Megan, who was our contact there that day, and everybody at Shed for just making that experience so special. So now we are in Chicago, or we're in Michigan. We've been on the trail for 8 days. And between the 21st of June and July 1st, when we started this hike in South Haven, we had 10 days off. You want to recap our 10 days? Barry's the recap guy.
Yeah, we just sat around in the rain.
Yeah.
But so the way I like to think about it is on the last day of going into finishing up Chicago, we went into the lake.
So
we
hot.
were so hot that we actually increased the temperature of the lake, and the heat, got the moisture out.
Yeah.
Created rain clouds, and
Yes.
It rained for pretty much 10 days.
Yeah, we had like one day of sun. So we went to Indiana Dunes first, never saw the dunes. We're in the van in the rain the entire time. And then we went to Van Buren State Park and camped out there. And we had one day where we got to explore the dunes in the sun. And then the rest of the time we were in the van in the rain.
Yep.
But it was nice.
It was really nice.
And I think as much as I would have loved to have kept some kind of hiking momentum going, I think judging on how well Michigan has gone so far, I think our recovery plan, though we didn't plan it that way, actually worked out for the best.
Because our plan was, we're like, all right, okay, we're going to take maybe 4 or 5 days off tops. And then we're going to like just kind of do some maintenance hiking, like maybe 4 or 5 miles a day.
Just keep our legs.
We'll go through the park, and that just never happened.
Yeah. But
and next thing you know, we're supposed to hike 254 miles across the state of Michigan.
With no days off.
With no days off.
With big mileage days every day.
Right.
There was, I mean, unless we're going to combine a 15 and a 24, like we don't have the luxury of combining a short day with a medium day like we did in Chicago to get a couple days off.
No.
All right. So let's talk about Michigan so far. So we are hiking on the Great Lake to Lake Trail number 1, which connects a bunch of different trails across the state of Michigan. So far we have completed the Calhaven Trail and the North Country Trail, the segments that go through Kalamazoo County and Calhoun County. Now we are in Jackson County. So the North Country Trail goes some other direction. We're off it now, but we did, I think we did like 60 miles on the North Country and 30 something on Calhaven. So we've done 120 miles across the state so far in these 8 days.
Indeed.
And how are you feeling?
I feel fantastic.
Every morning I wake up and Barry's like, what do you want to do today? I was like, I don't know, go for a walk. And it's like, I wake up and I'm a little bit crickety, but like a good lap to the bathroom and back, and I'm ready to move.
Yeah. I mean, generally here's the difference is in Chicago, because we were hiking with a bunch of different people with different skill levels and, different schedules.
Yeah.
Like our hiking strategy is, we start early.
Mm-hmm.
We get it done before the heat kicks in, and we're having maybe a beer early.
Mm-hmm.
But Chicago was very different because it was just a longer day, and the most important thing is we didn't have the recovery time.
Yeah, that's the problem with dragging the days out. So
with Michigan, because it is just me and Sydney, is we start at 6 or 7 in the morning. And we blast. We did 18 miles yesterday before noon 30.
Yeah. Noon 30.
Noon 30, yes. But the thing is, now we have all the time to recover. So we just kind of chill out, put our feet up, rest, relax, get a good night's sleep, and then we get cracking early in the morning.
Yeah.
So we didn't really necessarily have that luxury in Chicago because we had to set up tents, break down tents, move the vehicles, drive back and forth. And it was just a little bit more of a stressor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like for me personally, comparing the two, especially in the name of Take a Hike Diabetes, I did a little personal test going around Chicago. If y'all have ever been to Chicago, there's some great food there. I don't eat deep dish every day, but put it in my face and I'm in Chicago, I'm not going to turn it down. So I ate whatever I wanted because I've always said I hike for the snacks. And when I move, I use my doctor's single sentence of, if you're going to be hiking for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you can basically eat whatever you want. You don't really need to worry about the calories or the carbs and stuff like that, because you're going to need that energy. Like when you're moving that much, your body needs to replace what you're losing. And so I did exactly that around Chicago. I ate whatever I want. I had gyros, I had deep dish, I had Chicago dogs, I had sausages, I had kumas, 4 times. So I did all of that and I did fine on the hike, but a couple things that are different between the two. So Chicago was basically 9,000 degrees and in the 90s and 100% humidity, 9,000% humidity. I'm a meteorologist. And in the 90s for most of that trip. And it was just so hot. I didn't like the shoes that I had were a little bit much for pavement pounding. And it was so hot and sweaty that I couldn't get my feet to stay dry. So I was just like blisters all the time. So it was the wrong shoes. my super fancy, darn tough socks. Couldn't even keep my feet dry. So I was just covered in blisters. And I really do think that the nutrition part was a big part of my lack of recovery. Because on this trip so far, like, yeah, I'm having like, we had cheese bread at lunch yesterday, but for the most part, like the cooler or the fridge in the van is loaded up with fruit. I'm having my mate in the morning. I'm getting a lot of sleep because we are hiking on our schedule to where we have as much recovery time as possible. And I'm nourishing my body with good stuff more than I am bad stuff. Like there was a good, probably 12 or 15 day stretch on the Chicago hike where I could count the number of servings of vegetables I had on one hand, because I was just eating tons of convenient food and just stuffing myself. And this trip, like we made our, oh my gosh, the taco salad we made last night. So I don't want to get into like food blogging here, but if y'all are looking for a delicious salad, get a thing of Impossible ground meat that's not ground meat, and make your favorite salad and then season the meat like taco meat, and then put that over the salad and prepare to have your mind blown. Because we had that yesterday and it was one of the best things we've had on the trail.
Which leads me to talk about Bell's Brewery.
Yes.
So this trail takes us right along. So there's some city walking because there's just, you can't get around it. So it took us right by Bell's Brewery. And if you haven't heard of Bell's Brewery, it's been they make the best beer in America for 4 years running.
Yes.
And it's rated one of the best beers in the country, or best breweries in the country. So we rolled in there and they had this chef's special spicy seasoning.
Yes.
That is stupid hot.
And Barry eats hot stuff for funsies. So if Barry says it's hot, you know it's hot.
I generally go to places where they require you to sign a waiver before you eat their food. You know, like, no joke. Like, I've been to places where you actually have to sign a waiver, and then there's a place in San Diego. What's that? The Thai place?
Oh, Plumeria.
Plumeria, where I'm like, hey, I want a Thai hot. And they're like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. They're like, double sure? Yeah, just bring it. So like, it's so hot that the chef comes on and he like pokes his head out and he's watching me eat it. And he's like, he just gives me a thumbs up, you know? So we order the poutine with the chef's special spices.
Super spicy seasoning.
And it is, and the waitress is like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. She's like, it's not good. It's really hot. I'm like, yeah, I know, just bring it along. And so bring it out, and it is hot. Like, it's, normally dry seasoning, dry rubs on like wings and whatnot, I'm not a huge fan. But this stuff was like ghost peppers and whatever else was on it. And it was ridiculously hot. Mm-hmm. Ridiculously hot. And I loved it.
Very loved it.
Yeah.
You know what else was good? They have garlic maple wings there.
Yeah.
Dude, get them.
Phenomenal.
So good.
So that spicy seasoning was so hot. And I was like, can I get some of that to go? She's like, really? I'm like, and I told her, I'm like, I'm seriously surprised that you actually served this to the public.
Yeah.
It was borderline inedible.
Yeah.
And it wasn't edible. I loved it, but for the average person, I think it would be a problem.
I burped that night and I was like, oh, that's all the spicy.
Yeah. But we put that on the Impossible meat for our taco seasoning. And
it was delicious.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
I added it to our normal blend of deliciousness.
So I think it's just a matter of moderation.
Yeah.
Because I think they throw that spicy seasoning on there like it's, like confetti.
Yeah. It's like, yay, it's spicy.
Yeah, just throw it on. Yeah.
So we are able to do this because we reached out to the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance last year. When we came up with Take a Hike Diabetes last September, we were like, okay, so let's think about some places that have some pretty high prevalence of diabetes. So Michigan specifically, there's 3.8 million people in the state that are pre-diabetic or living with diabetes. And we reached out to the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance in an effort to, one, get across the state, because that is just an awesome way to raise awareness. Like, you're walking across an entire state. But two, to showcase accessible, equitable access to outdoor recreation. And so that's the whole name of the game for the tour, is to show these trails that make outdoor recreation accessible in the cities and towns where you work, live, and play. You don't have to go to the nearest state park or cross state lines to go to a national park. You can find the wilderness in your own backyard. So the Great Lake to Lake Trail, like we said before, connects a bunch of different trails across the state. We've already completed the Cal Haven Trail, which goes from South Haven to Kalamazoo. We've completed the North Country Trail sections through Kalamazoo County and Calhoun County. And now we are on, today we were on the Falling Water Trail, a little bit of the Iron Bell Trail. We popped out of the Falling Water Trail and onto the MLK Junior Memorial Trail before we got here to the church to spend the night. So we will be on the MLK Memorial Trail tomorrow, and then some other city and county trails. So it's been really cool to see just the signage and how well marked everything is. The first section through the Cal Haven Trail, there was half-mile marks all the way through. So we saw up to, like, I think the last one I took a picture of was like 33 or something. Excuse me. And so that was really cool just to see the progress that we were making along the way. And none of this would be possible if it weren't for Terry. So if you know us personally, you've probably heard us talk about Terry over the last almost year since we started planning this adventure last September. But when we contacted the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance, Andrea and the team got us on the phone. Andrea and Amanda got us on the phone. And there was a guy named John from who works with the Trail Association, and then this guy Terry, who is a friend of the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance and a friend of Great Lake to Lake Trail number 1. He works with the benefactor that made Great Lake to Lake Trail number 1 possible. So Mike Levine is a philanthropist that wants to see people use this trail and bring about the history and talk about the rail to trail system, and just get people outside on it. So they designated Terry as our guy on the ground. And over the last however many months, we've come to learn a lot about Terry. So he has organized cross-country cycling rides to end poverty, and in the process has raised $7 or $8 million to do so. And he's done stuff in Canada, he's done stuff across the US, and he is a logistics king. Like, the guy just nails it every time. So he gave us a map of our suggested route, because we wanted to go on this trail as much as we could, but then we wanted to end it in Detroit. So we're on the Great Lake to Lake Trail until we get to Rochester, I think. Yeah. And then we drop down and head into Detroit from there on the Iron Bell. So Terry's whole life right now is this route that goes from South Haven over to Port Huron. So he has gotten us hooked up with all the campsites, confirmed everywhere where we could stay. And because this similar to Chicago, you don't just like hike this trail and set up camp wherever you want. Not yet anyway. So what we did is we took a look at the map and we said, okay, like we could do like 12 miles this day and 18 miles this day and 24 miles this day. And we picked like a stopping point. And then Terry reached out to those different locations, including like this church here, the New Hope Community Church, to see if we could park the van in the lot. And since we're not just like packing everything we need and walking across the state, we do have a vehicle that we need to get from point to point. We've decided to go the day hiking kind of route. So we don't carry everything we need with us on this adventure, but we do have the van that moves from point to point to point. And so Terry's been a tremendous help on the logistics side of things. He has coordinated volunteers across the state to move the car every day. And he himself lives in Grand Rapids, but he's been driving out to meet us every day. So he'll like park at the end, ride his bike to meet us, or he'll park at a midway point. Like he chases us on the trail with his car full, like with a whole like big like cooler, like the kind you dump on your coach at the end of the game, one of those big igloo jugs full of ice water, and then a ginormous like treasure chest of anything we've ever wanted. And like before we got here, he sent us like a preference list. It was almost like a writer for what kind of M&Ms do you want in your dressing room? But he was like, okay, so if you like water, okay, you like it flat or you like it sparkling? If you like it sparkling, what flavor? Do you like Gatorade? Do you like Powerade? Do you want beer? Do you want wine? What kind of kombucha do you like? Like snacks, all the things. So every day he's just come, and it's so funny. Like I really do. Like we've been calling him the guru as his trail name, and he's not into it. He thinks that's gross, but that just speaks to how great he is. But it was like, I think it was the first or second day, he was coming to meet us, and he walked in and he comes out of the woods. So like, if you've been following us along on Instagram on this trip, we've been posting a lot of these trails where it's just tunnels of trees, and it's so beautiful. And you look up and all you see is like the layers of leaves and like the light coming through the leaves, and it's just stunning. And so we were hiking east, as we do every day. And we saw Terry like walking towards us, and there was this break where like he came out of the forest, and there's this one area where it's not necessarily tree canopy, and he's got this long white hair and these really cool like spectacle glasses, and like he wears these neon shirts from the cross country tours he's organized, so we can see him easily. And he comes at us, and his hair is just like illuminated. And I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like this holy specimen, just like walking towards us. It was amazing. So Terry has just been an absolute angel in the coordination of all this and keeping us fed and hydrated. And he's really fun to hang out with. Like the way he sees the world is just excellent.
Yeah, he's a fantastic human being.
Any other thoughts on Terry?
He's just one of the most amazing people I've ever met, to be honest with you. Like a genuine human, caring, fantastic human. Yeah.
And I think like if you're a Hiking My Feelings like OG and you've been around since the beginning of when we started doing these video updates, in the very beginning of 2019, this was like our second tour with REI. So we did the first REI tour at the end of 2018. We did another 3 dates in January. And one of those days we went up to the Krishnamurti Foundation and Retreat Center up in Ojai, California. And we met this painter there, and his name was Troy. And he was just like, he's been living in the area for most of his life. He's been painting scenery and landscapes of the grounds at this foundation for the last 30 years. And his artwork's featured in the main building. It's featured in art shows around Ojai. And we just had one of the most deep and humbling and just like inspiring conversations with this complete and total stranger. And I feel the same energy from Terry that I felt from that guy, Troy.
Yeah.
Safe to say?
Yeah.
You concur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
we got Pastor Rob.
Pastor Rob's here. Oh my gosh, cool. Yay.
You want to talk about deep conversations?
Yeah.
Should we bring him in?
I think so.
You want to come in?
Yeah, sure. Come on over. Cool. So I'll wear this. You don't need to. Everybody, Pastor Rob, give it up.
Hello.
So this is Pastor Rob.
Yeah,
you look great. Yeah. Nailing it. I am sitting at New Hope Community Church. Behind us, we have this beautiful banner.
Oh, we can see coffee.
We can see coffee. You tell us a little bit about the banner. This is
actually,
not a coffee shop.
No, it's not a coffee shop. But we do have coffee here. But that actually banner was up before I got here. I got here 2 years ago, and they had that in there, and I said we have to keep it up because that's the driving force behind everyone's life is coffee.
That's right.
You have to have coffee. And it was actually a theme for one of their, I believe it was for one of the VBSs that they did the 1 year. And so all the letters stand for something. I don't know what they are yet. I know
Christ offers forgiveness
for everyone everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's on some of our T-shirts even. So
nice.
So yeah.
So tell us a little about you, how you got here, and what your vision is for this space and this community.
Wow. I don't want to take up too much time.
No, take as much time as you want. We got plenty.
I mean, how I got here, that's a journey in and of itself. I actually started full-time ministry back in 2004 in Toledo, Ohio. Started there at a church, and then went from there. We were there 3 years, and then we did a church plant for a little while down there that kind of folded up. But then we went up to northern Michigan, up near Mackinac, in a place called Bliss. And Bliss was unique. I mean, it was an area of 752 people in 12 square miles.
Wow.
So
that's tiny.
It is.
Yeah.
It was a very small area. I mean, there the township was small, but all around us was national forest and state park and everything. Wilderness State Park is right there, and I think that's 10,000 square acres of nothing but wilderness.
Love it.
So yeah, I mean, I've always been an outdoor person and fell in love with it up there, except for the winters.
Yeah.
Winters start October and then they don't end till June.
That's a lot.
And that's a lot. So
Yeah.
for someone who likes riding motorcycles too, that's a short riding season.
Yes, it does.
So then, so we were up there for 7 years, and we moved down here, 2019, I believe, October 2019. We moved in down here, and then started working with this church, a group of people here. And so the vision for us right now, we're just really starting to get things back together again as far as vision goes. And the main part is that we're going to love God with all of our heart. Then also we're looking at having, what's the word? I'm just working on the vision statement right now too. I can't remember the words.
Perfect.
I'm saying I'm a lot now. Authentic relationships with one another. Yeah, I knew it was an easy word,
but it's not easy.
It's not easy to do. You're right.
Great.
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, that's honestly the problem in our world is it's hard to find authentic relationships.
Yeah.
And especially in the Christian world. I'm just going to be real. Is that there's a lot of fakeness in the Christian world, and so everyone wants to be perfect and act perfect, but we're not perfect. And so the authenticity is where I'm really driving at for us. Is look, we're broken people just like anybody else that needs healing and needs help along the way. So we're here to help one another. God instructs us to lift one another up, help each other along the way. And then also our goal then is to share the gospel message with everyone throughout the world and do it in a way that's not, it's abrasive, unfortunately, because truth is abrasive, but we're going to do it.
Abrasive.
We're going to do it in a way that gives grace, honor, and love, that no condemnation, because we're not here to condemn anybody. We're here just to share our story. And if they want to accept it, they can. If they don't, then that's for them.
Their choice. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well, I think, go ahead.
No, yeah. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell right now.
Well, we were having a really great conversation before we started broadcasting about my ties to the church when I was younger, and I grew up in Kansas, and where I grew up, church was, you put it perfectly. For me, I was saying church for me was about the car you drove to get there and the bag that you carried into service. Yeah. And it was very much like, it was more of a like positioning yourself in your community as somebody who has, who comes from means or something like that. And you had said church is like a country club. And I was like, that's the phrasing I've been looking for my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad because it was never intended to be that way. And the big thing for me, if you know anything about history, Constantine messed up the church. When he legalized Christianity, it changed the dynamics of Christianity tremendously, and then everything became organized, and then the organizing led to a hierarchy of, okay, if you're trained, you can teach. If you're not trained, you can't teach. And when you look back all throughout Scripture, it shows they were common, normal people that were interacting and learning and growing together. And so when Constantine created that facade of the church being an organized entity, things started falling apart, I think. But in America, our biggest thing is we want to be the haves, not the have-nots. And there's some concept of prosperity involved in church where if you're not prosperous, then you're not blessed by God. That's not true.
That's not true.
Prosperity, there's a lot of people who are prosperous who are atheists, and so for me, it's like, it's definitely not that. There's a different kind of prosperity, and that's a relationship with God that only can happen with Christ. And so for me, the big thing is we got to get out of the country club mentality of, I pay my dues, I give my tithes, or put something in the offering plate. So now what's in it for me? And that's the mentality that a lot of church people have that was never intended to be part of the church. Our goal should be, okay, this is a requirement that God has for us to show that we trust him in every area.
Skin in the game, if you will.
Yeah. It's like, if you're especially for Americans, if you're not willing to put 10% into something, are you actually in it?
Yeah.
We pay to put our kids through sports. We pay to watch our shows on TV. We pay for everything we want. our cell phones, social media.
I've got a whole that we could go down the
we could
rabbit
go-
hole
I know.
on that. I'm like, we don't even
So, I mean,
need money. It's all BS.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but the thing about it is it's not meant for that. I mean, we're supposed to be in a relationship with a God that created everything you're talking about.
Yeah.
Everything around us should point us to the fact that there's got to be a creator.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
100%.
mean, I don't see it any other way.
Well, and
I mean, it's-
I know a lot of people in our community, and I know for myself in particular, and I was mentioning this before we started recording, was like, I have a hard time calling what I have, the relationship I have with a higher power, source, God, universe, unicorns, whatever you call it. I have a hard time calling it God just because church was so gross when I was in it.
Yeah.
But I know in my heart, and I think this is the most important part, that I do have that relationship. Like I feel held and cared for, and I have a way of living that I think is making the world a better place. I think I'm walking the steps that I should be walking to do wherever you want to go, whatever the end goal is. So if you had like a magic wand that you could wave over the world or this community or me and Barry or just under like the human race in general, that would either like teach somebody something or eliminate a harmful behavior or some kind of like just to make the world a better place, like what would your magic wand be?
Wow.
I mean, you got kind of like a direct line to God, so I feel
I don't know about that.
I feel like your magic wand might be an extension of his, but
yeah, I mean, it's wow. That's so crazy. I mean, that's crazy for me to think about. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
To me, okay, I think that people could grasp that there is a God.
Yeah.
Because it all starts there.
Yeah.
It literally does. Because when we can grasp that there is truly a God, then everything falls into place, and we can see and understand things much differently.
Yeah.
We can see the world through different eyes. If I could give someone a new eyes to see the world the way God sees it, including Christians. Because Christians, I mean, I'm not bashing Christians because I am one, but I mean, I fail a lot of times too. I say things and do things that I shouldn't, or I don't mean. And then I go back and go, wow, that was wrong. I mean, and that's part of learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, we have to be able to actually realize that we're not here to condemn anybody. And that's the thing that gets me sad, is when you hear Christians putting people down instead of building them up.
Yeah.
Because they're living a lifestyle that's not in line with Scripture. It's like, and I tell people all the time, I say, what do you expect? If they're not if you don't believe this, why do you expect someone to live that?
Yeah.
So if they don't believe that the Bible is real, why would they live by it?
It's true.
And so until they see God, all the Scripture to them doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was a journey I took myself. I mean, I took all kinds of rabbit trails to look for truth. And that's a hard thing about it today.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own truth.
That
I mean, it's there's no
formerly known as opinions.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like my opinion is now truth.
Yeah,
and so
I said it, so it's true.
What's true for me might not be true for you.
Right.
But isn't there an absolute truth somewhere along the line?
You would think so. I mean, we all die. I guess that's an.
That's an absolute truth.
We need oxygen to breathe.
I mean, I was just thinking about this earlier. It's like, okay, if I'm going down the road at 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle and a tractor trailer pulls out in front of me and I hit it, I'm toast.
Yeah, probably not looking good for you.
It's not looking good.
Not for your physical body.
I mean,
your soul's going to be great.
Well, yeah, but I have a lot of explaining to do when I get there.
Yeah.
Why was I doing 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle anyways?
Yeah.
But it's like, we know that death is a reality.
We all act like it's not.
And none of us want to die. I mean,
I don't want to die.
I don't want to die either. But
I mean, I do,
but I don't. I'm not afraid of it. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of it, but
yeah.
I'm not like actively counting down the days.
And then that's the other thing
cool
too.
Stuff I want to
being a pastor, I've seen both sides of it. I've been in a room with people who are dying who are Christian, and literally some of them are singing with their last breath, and you can see the joy and the peace in them. And then you're in a room with others who are not Christian, and there's almost like a fear in them about what's happening. There's like this idea that, and I mean, to me, because I believe the Bible's true that if we don't accept Christ, we're going to hell, and that's a scary thing for me, because it's like I don't want anyone to experience it. I read the story about Lazarus and the beggar, and he's like, go send him and tell my brothers to take care of people, because it's like if that's what hell's like, I don't want to see anyone in
Not
it.
interested.
Yeah, I'm not
Hard
interested.
pass on
yeah,
hell.
exactly. And so it's like, and I just wish people could see God for who he is.
Yeah.
That'd be my biggest thing.
And for folks that are, I'm curious, and this isn't a question that necessarily has an answer today, but maybe it does. For folks that have fallen away from that, or who have never known it, faith, whatever you call it, what, especially coming out of last year, like it was difficult. I mean, for folks that have been going to church, to a building, to your point earlier, for their entire life, like my aunt, she's Catholic, she lives next to her parish, she goes every day for mass, like she does every day. And that went away during COVID. So for folks that have either fallen out of it because they weren't able to go to the place or have never known that, what would you encourage them to do?
Oh, I mean, for one, it's not about a place.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship with God. The place is just there for us to gather. If this building burnt down, that doesn't end the church. It's just a place where we meet. We can meet anywhere, and it's still church.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that I encourage people right there, is just remember that we've tied the whole concept of Christianity to a building. And
big buildings.
Yeah, big
places.
buildings.
Big old stadiums.
Yeah. Expensive buildings and high maintenance and all the money that's wasted in things that really aren't necessary.
Yeah.
And here we are sitting in a church while I'm saying this.
Hey, but it's not, but I mean, that's the other thing. I think that there's something to be said for a place like this is a beautiful space and humble and appropriate for the place that it is. And I think that, and not to discredit the big monster mega churches, but what I think about is, to your point, like these big buildings that have exorbitant rent, exorbitant utilities, XYZ 1, 2, 3, like how could that money better serve that community?
Yeah.
All the money that we dump into a building.
Yeah.
How could we help the people that are living on the streets? How could we help the people that are in abusive relationships who can't find shelter at a shelter? Like, how do we open up those doors and give people that kind of space? That's just my rhetorical question.
I know.
And if you have an answer, I'm down to hear it.
I mean, I wish I did, because it's one, like you said, it's one of those questions that can you really answer it? Because there's always going to be need.
Yeah, always.
And so it's like, and so
is it possible in your mind that we're already in heaven? That this is heaven? No.
I mean, so to some degree, I think there's might be something to that, but no, I think heaven's going to be so much more.
Yeah.
I mean,
what do you think it's going to be like?
I have no idea. It's just going to be unexplainable.
Yeah.
Just from what I read in Revelation with John trying to explain it.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, these are the only words I can think of, and this doesn't even touch it.
Yeah.
And so
that's how I feel when I'm out in the wilderness.
Well, yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm pretty sure the Yosemite backcountry is heaven. Like I
oh
feel
my
like
gosh.
I'm there and I'm like, it's just trees and animals and we're all in harmony. Nothing is disrupted and everything's beautiful. And I'm like, this is the kind of world I want to live in right now. Like, I don't feel like we should have to wait.
It's like the Garden of Eden. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, it's
so
like,
how can we create more of that on earth right now in this world? Why do we have to wait?
Social media.
Okay, cool. Logging off.
I mean,
nope,
really.
You're right.
I mean, we've got so distracted in life.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Snapchat, we have all the other ones. I can't even think of all the ones that are out there. And so we're all on those, and of course we got to check and see if we're liked and if we're accepted, and if we're not, then
there's only one app you need. It's the one with God.
Yeah. And then there's the Bible app too. So
yeah, there you go.
But I mean,
there's your likes. There's only one.
But it's like, I mean, we're so worried about what everyone thinks of us. Even people really don't know us.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
I know.
And I feel like, and for me, it was like a 30-year transition out of that.
Yeah.
Because like the last 6 years have been great. it's still there, but it's
I have Facebook.
Yeah.
I use it a little, but barely.
Yeah.
I have Instagram to stay up with my kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
But it's like I see everyone with their face in their phones and walking past people all day long without saying a word.
Yeah. And it's shocking to me. So depending on where we are going around the country, because we did a big lap in 2019 and we're making our way across the country again this year. On the trail, Barry and I are some of the most friendly people. We're like, oh my God, hi, good morning, how are you? And people are either into that or they're not. And more these days compared to 2019, and I don't even think it's a regional thing, but I don't know if 2020 just like broke people and now we don't say hi, how you doing, good morning anymore. But I was at a campground. We were at Fort Custer State Campground, and there was a woman in the bathroom and she said, oh, hey, hello, how you doing? Good morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm great. How are you?
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm great. And I was like, I walked past 3 people that didn't even acknowledge my existence on the way to this bathroom. And it's small potatoes, but those little micro encounters with our fellow humans, the more of the positive ones that we have, I think the better the world will be.
Oh yeah.
And when we keep putting our head down, whether it's in our phone or just avoiding eye contact because we don't really care how you're doing and we don't want to ask, I don't know if it's I think social media is part of that, but I also just hope with big doe eyes that we can rise above that and like get back
and
to,
I mean the other thing is everyone's walking around with their ears plugged.
I know. That's why I go out in the wilderness. I'm like, I don't want no technology.
Yeah.
I don't want headphones. I don't want to listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Nothing.
Everything's wireless now, so they got their wireless earbuds in, or their iPods, or whatever you have.
AirPods? I don't know. I don't have
AirBuds or whatever. I don't have an iPhone.
Airbud. I think that's a dog that plays basketball.
That's Air Buddy. But yeah, it's like, I mean, everyone has their ears plugged and listening to whatever instead of looking for connection.
Yeah.
And that's what we were made for. We were made to be connected.
Yeah. And I would hope that last year was a big smack in the face that that's true.
Yeah, I would think. But I mean, I think it will be for a little while.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think everyone's going to slowly go.
I don't want to go back to normal because I think normal was pretty broken before COVID.
Yeah.
I really liked the sense of community that we were able to find and cultivate because we took, like, for our organization personally, we went around the country. We got everybody off their devices and into the woods.
Oh yeah.
And then we couldn't do that in 2020. I was like, oh, we have to like make the woods accessible on devices now. This is so weird.
Yeah, no, it was because church was only accessible for a little while on device.
Yeah, which is like that. You don't get the same feeling.
No, you don't. There's no community.
I mean, I'm impressed with what we were able to cultivate on Zoom. Like, it's better than nothing. But I tell you what, the first in-person event we hosted at the end of March, I was like, I want to hug everyone. Are you vaxxed? Okay, great. Just turn your head. I don't care. Like, I need that touch. I need to be in a space. And I imagine as a pastor, this is probably true for you too, to like, I don't want to say feed off the energy because that sounds gross and like you're taking something from it, but just be in the presence of other people in their energy. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like, that's the other thing about church though, is being in the presence of God and worshiping and doing that together. You got to do it together.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to worship alone. I mean, it is, but it's not.
It's good to cultivate that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you do need that too, but there's something about community worship that's so much different than, and I mean, I do have alone time worship with God, but it's not the same as a community worship setting because you're doing it with others.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, and then I'll let you go because you got stuff to do, I'm sure. Any advice for these two hillbillies, me and Barry, running across the country, doing stuff, spreading our mission of diabetes awareness and stuff like that? Anything that you can apply from a church pastoral setting to a couple hippies living in a van? I
mean, I think you guys are doing great.
Thank you.
I mean, just from what I've heard, I mean, the whole thing is, I mean, loving people.
Yeah, that's all we want.
Yeah.
I love hugs.
I mean, I mean, there's tough love sometimes. I mean, if someone wants to sit around and eat Twinkies and say, I'm working on my diabetes, no, you're not. I mean, I struggle with that. I'm a sweetaholic. I have diabetes myself, and
do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Type 1, type 2?
Type 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
right.
I lost
brothers and sisters in diabetes.
30 pounds.
Good for
to
you.
help with it, but it's still, I mean, I got some more weight to lose, I guess.
Okay, well,
but because I don't want to be on meds all the rest of my life.
That's when I got diagnosed. I was like, I'll tell you what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to be popping pills till I die.
Yeah, and I don't either. So I have a chance of getting it low enough.
Do you want to hike with us tomorrow? What are you doing in the morning? You walk this trail. It's right outside your church.
I really have to get on my message tomorrow. I haven't even got to it yet this week.
Well, if you if you wake up and you want to take a walk for a little bit, you can come walk with us.
All right. Yeah,
right.
I'll let you know. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to just because I have that going on.
Yeah.
I haven't even started it.
He's got a
I don't-
mission statement to write. We got a vision.
Yeah.
for this
Well, we're
community.
going to be talking about vision.
Yeah.
I mean, why vision's important.
Yeah.
Why need it?
I love it.
Yeah.
Boom. All right.
So,
well, Pastor
yeah.
Rob, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Awesome.
First time I've been on a podcast.
Boom.
Boom.
Well, I'll send you the link when it's live.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Hey, we'll see you later.
Come on down, Mr. Williams.
All right.
All right, so we have been, where are we at? We've been hiking. Today's day 8. Oh, so I want to tell you a story, everybody, about our trip from 4th of July to present day. So one of the guys that was moving our van, his name's Eric. He works with the North Country Trail, and he is this incredible human being. He invited us over to his his cottage on Gull Lake. His dad or grandfather? His grandfather purchased the property in 1910 for like either $500 or $750. $700 in 1910. And so he's like, we've got this quaint little cottage on the lake. We're flanked by multi-million-dollar mansions, but like, come on down. We're going to cook you dinner. If you want to stick around for fireworks, you can. So we go. And while we're sitting on the porch, looking at the lake, enjoying the nice breeze off the water, eating our typical 4th of July plates, and Char's, his wife's name is Char. She makes the most bomb potato salad you've ever had in your life. And so we're sitting there, we're munching, we're chatting, and they mention that on day 7 of our hike, we'll be passing by this place called Bear Creek Farms, and they make incredible granola. And that we have to stop. And so they have this little stand, and it's not open all the time, but they have a stand that's facing the street, and then the farm is behind the stand. So we're like, okay, cool, yeah. Don't look it up. We completely forget. We go home, we go to sleep. It's 4th of July. We're wiped out. It was a really hot day that day, and we were doing a lot of road walking. And so we get there, and so we're walking yesterday. This was yesterday?
I don't know.
Day 6? I don't know. Whatever.
Sure.
So we'll say it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Or the day before. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So we're walking and we see the stand. We're like, oh my gosh, this is Bear Creek Farms. This is where the stand is. So we're looking and it's all shuttered up and they don't open. It was like a weekday that we were hiking. And they didn't open until like 3 or something. We're like, oh, bummer. Okay. And as we're passing, I see this woman and her son coming. So this she's got like this long flowing hair, just kind of like pulled back and like this simple ponytail, really flowy pants. I'm like, oh my God, this chick is like living my life, dream life. Adorable little kid. That part's not on my game plan, so it's not like I was envying her child. But she comes over and she's like, hey, are you guys hiking the trail? We're like, yeah, we are. And she's like, oh, do you need to use the restroom? Can we get you some water? Like, we're not open, but we could grab you a couple bars. And we're like, okay. And so we go and we walk over and they have this creek that runs behind the property. And they're talking about how they want to invite the North Country Trail to take people off the road. So you don't have to do road walking because it's a very busy street that they're on. And have it reroute through their property. So you can like walk next to this stream and swing on this ginormous swing. How tall do you think that swing was?
Had to have been a couple hundred.
Had to have been a couple hundred feet.
Yeah, at least 200 feet tall.
Yeah, like this monster oak tree. And I was like, how did you get this swing up there? And so their friend comes and he like chucks this rope over and makes this swing. And so she runs in, grabs us a couple energy bars, and I look at the thing and it says it has yerba mate in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I drink yerba mate every day. I love it. She's like, oh my gosh, we're from Brazil. Our community has a farm in Brazil and they grow the yerba mate there. And we all of our communities buy from this particular grower. And I was like, communities, wow, that sounds cool. And so they've got 4 families that live on this farm, and they all, work on the farm, and they make the granola, they make the energy bars and stuff like that. And so I'm eating this bar and it's delicious. Like it is hands down one of the best trail bars we've ever had in our lives. Yep. So another woman comes out, she's making a granola, same kind of look, like her hair's tied back, loose ponytail, just like flowy pants. And she's got her apron on because she's getting ready to go bake. And so we buy some more bars. And the original woman that we met, I can't remember her name to save my life. She's like, oh, you drink yerba mate? I'll go see if we have some ready, because they have yerba mate. Like a bunch of the people on the property are Brazilian. And so she brings out some peach iced yerba mate tea. And I was like, oh my God, this is so delicious. Like, I really love it. And so then the guy comes out, and I can't remember his name either, but he identifies himself as the husband of the first lady that we met. And so he's talking about how he's asking us about the trail and like what we're doing and where we're from. And he's from like East County, San Diego, or he had lived around Poway Lakes for a while. So we were talking about Potato Chip Rock and like all these iconic San Diego hikes. And he's like, yep, I know that. And so he's like, so where do you guys go from here? And we're like, oh, we're headed over to the East Coast. We're going to do some hiking around New Hampshire. And he's like, oh, well, if you go to Vermont, we have a hostel on the AT. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, so we have a bunch of different delis. It's called the Yellow Deli. And the one in Vermont in particular has the hostel above the top. So like you go and you stay. And if you want to stay for like a night, then you just let us know if you want breakfast, come down, we'll make you breakfast, whatever. And if you want to buy stuff, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. And if you want to stay longer, then you can like go work on the farm and then stay for as long as you want. So it's kind of like a woofer situation. And I was like, oh my God, this is please. And I was like, so do you guys have room? Like, I don't want to live in Michigan. Let's just get that straight. But I was like, this property was stunning and it's summer in Michigan, which is like the best. And I was like, oh my God, do you guys have room? Like, could we live here? And they were like, we could definitely talk about it. Like, sure. And I was like, okay, cool. And so they kept talking about their hostels and they've got like these different communities in like 13 different areas or
countries,
like 13 different countries. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so neat. And so we leave, like we swing on the swing and then we leave and I Google it. So I'm going to give the listeners a break to Google Yellow Deli real quick. You're Googling Yellow Deli. If the first result that comes up on Google is Yellow Deli cult, that's what we found out. So turns out this community is a cult and their goal is to what?
I mean, it hasn't been verified, but apparently they want to sacrifice 144,000 male virgins in 2070 to bring back Christ.
Yes. So since we're sitting in a church, I thought it was very interesting that we almost voluntarily recruited ourselves into a cult.
It sounded like a pretty good deal.
It sounded like a good deal until the guy was talking about how they had to sell all their earthly possessions, give all of the money to the organization. And then he was like, so we work at everybody like works in and chips in at the deli or the farm, depending on which community you live in. And there's no paychecks. All of your needs are met, but your wants aren't met and your desires aren't met. Like you're not making money, but all your needs are met because it's just like a communal purse. So like all the money they make at the Yellow Deli gets everybody's needs met, but you don't make any money. So you don't have any money because you just gave it all up. You don't make any money. And he said something about like, and I really love the lifestyle because like I can just go in the middle of the day and focus on raising my son. And I don't have to like worry about being micromanaged or I can't quit. Or said something like, but I don't have to quit, but I can't leave.
Right.
And that's when Barry's alarm bells started going off.
Well, my alarm bells started going off pretty quick, actually, because I mean,
Barry might have a better cult radar than I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing that really impressed me is everybody was wearing very sensible clothing.
Yeah.
I mean, like
flowy and comfortable.
And I get it. And I was like,
born to wear those clothes.
I mean, the pants that the women were wearing were uber comfortable. They were like elephant pants, super flowy.
Yeah.
And the guy had cargo pants, shorts on. And I was
sensible.
like, I can get it. Everybody's wearing flip-flops. There's swings. It was delightful. Sensible food. They got a farm. I'm like, I really, really dig this. But then he was like, the wives, and not that it really matters because it doesn't, but the wife wasn't wearing a ring. Mm. And when the man talked, the women kind of shut down a bit.
And then they all just left.
Right. He's like, I got this. And it was just, I was like, I think this may be a cult. With really delicious bars.
The best bars I've ever had
and
in my
great
life.
yerba mate.
And so one of the things that kind of got me pumped, I'm not going to lie, he was like, so one of our locations is in Vista. And that's like 45 minutes from where we live. And I was like, there's a Yellow Deli in Vista. Like we could go and have some of these banging sandwiches that they keep talking about.
So we Yelped it. Yeah. And it's got like
It's got 4.5 stars and 2,000 reviews.
Right. But the thing is, in Vista, it's not that far away from where Heaven's Gate cult was.
Oh, right.
And I know you're not really familiar with
I'm
that whole
not.
thing, but that's the one where they like castrated all the men, and then they killed them all, or they all drank like Kool-Aid.
Is that where they
or
drank
something.
the Kool-Aid? Is that where the phrase
Yeah.
"drink the Kool-Aid" comes from?
No, that's not.
Oh.
That's Jonestown. But
Oh, okay.
like they found them all dead because basically they thought UFOs were going to beam them up. And I know you probably would have signed up for that one too.
I'm ready. Kesha, where are you with your spaceship?
So
Mama's ready to go home.
yeah, they found a bunch of castrated dudes with like sheets over themselves in bunk beds just outside San Diego, I think in North County, San Diego, with sensible shoes.
Yeah.
And, apparently they got beamed up because they were waiting for the forthcoming of alien Jesus or something. I don't know.
Wow. So.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we almost got abducted. Oh, not abducted.
I almost voluntarily joined a cult.
Right.
Thank God for Google.
Yeah. So we almost didn't finish this hike because of sensible
We almost just called it quits and joined a cult.
trail snacks.
Yeah, joined a cult at a farm in Michigan.
How do you how do you get Barry and Sydney into your cult? Offer them trail snacks.
Yeah, trail magic.
Delicious.
It's a really low bar to get us into your cult.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Well,
So that was exciting.
that was exciting.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we get to Detroit next Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got 8 days left on this trail.
Yeah.
Pretty psyched about it.
We're over halfway.
Over halfway. We're 120 miles in. Time wise, we're almost over halfway on the mileage too. We just need tomorrow we'll hit halfway on miles.
Yeah, if you look at the map, we're way closer to Detroit than we are to South Haven, although we got to go up and then down a bit. But
Yeah. Cool. Well,
I got nothing.
you got nothing. Let's just end it there.
Yeah, Pastor Rob.
Pastor Rob coming in.
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate you. All right. So if you live in or around Michigan and you'd like to join us on the trail, go to hikingmyfeelings.org/Michigan. You can donate your miles. You can donate your dollars. You can sign up and cheer us on. You can hold up a sign on the side of the road. We'll send you our route so you can watch us walk slowly by.
Not lately.
Not lately. We've been cruising. You want to watch us walk at 3.5 to 4 miles past your home? Give us a call. And if you're interested in joining the Take a Hike Diabetes campaign, we have 25,492 miles tracked. We're going for 1 million, and we still got 6 months out of the year. Like it's only July. Like we still got a lot of hiking to do. So if you're already hiking and you already track your miles because you like to keep tabs on your progress, all you have to do is sign up for Take a Hike Diabetes, download the Kilter app, and then sync your fitness tracker. And you don't have to do anything else for the rest of time if you don't want to. But if you do want to do more stuff, we have that free 30-day program. We have some awesome community members with some great resources. And to sign us out, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mike Joyce, AKA Retune, who is currently over 1,000 miles into his journey on the Continental Divide Trail. He's currently in Colorado, just smoking Instagram with all of his insane views that he's seeing. It's just absolutely breathtaking out there. So Mike lives with type 1 diabetes. He is on the Continental Divide Trail, showing that it is entirely possible to go have humongous adventures living with type 1 diabetes. And on the type 2 front, if you are thinking, someday I'd like to see those kinds of views, or someday I'd like to hike across the state, or someday I'd just like to do more than what I'm doing now, join us. Send me a message, DM us on Instagram, send me an email, hello@hikingmyfeelings.org. Leave a comment on this YouTube video or the podcast or whatever, and let us know what your goals are, and let's see if we can help you get there, because living with diabetes is not a death sentence. In fact, it can open up some of the most magical experiences of your life. And I'm living proof of that. So any other things, Mr. Williams? Any thoughts?
Yes, I have thoughts.
You have thoughts?
Yeah. The new K-Bong album comes out tonight.
Yes. Shout out to K-Bong. New album comes out tonight. Let Love Lead.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to tell the story about Heal It?
No, you tell it. You're gonna tell it better.
So we went hiking around, was that after Tahoe, after we did the 12? Yeah. So we did a 12-mile hike around Tahoe in the Desolation Wilderness last July. So about a year ago. And we were in the forest across the creek from Buckeye Hot Springs, getting ready to go do a soak in the morning. And we were just chilling out. We had the van doors open. K-Bong had the back of his truck open. He was sitting on a cooler. He had his blanket laid over the cooler. He had a little candle lit. And we were all just sitting, listening to the trees, listening to all the people around us. And then K-Bong started playing. And he played this song called Heal It. And I just remember my whole body was covered in goosebumps. I knew every word by the time he got done singing it. And I was crying because it was just like of our introduction to K-Bong was through Stick Figure. And then when we invited him out to the ranch before the virtual campfire last year, he had started a song that had Hiking My Feelings as a line in it. And just getting to know K-Bong as a friend, as a human, and also as an artist has been one of the most beautiful experiences I think I've ever had. And for anybody that's a fan of Stick Figure or K-Bong, he is exactly who you see on stage. There is not a separate entity from K-Bong. He is that happy. He is that positive. He is that optimistic. And Heal It is after sharing my story with him, after he read my book, after we went and he like literally saw me hiking my feelings around the Desolation Wilderness in Tahoe. Heal It in particular, that song is so powerful. And it's such a beautiful anthem for what is possible when we dig deep. As Mike Love says, wash behind your ears and do your shadow work. It really is just like, it's the embodiment of everything that I think we try to do at Hiking My Feelings. Heal It is. So if you haven't heard it yet, Heal It is one of the first singles he's released from that album. The album comes out tonight at midnight. So you can listen to it all day on repeat tomorrow. And yeah, so check out Heal It. He's got some great stuff. He's got some featured vocals from Mike Love on the Heal It in particular. And Nathan from Ayaterra did the instrumental on that. And then Ian Young produced it. He's also got some vocals with Ayaterra featured on the new tracks on the album, and we're just really excited to hear it. It's been so cool to hear the evolution of a song from. So the history behind Heal It, as K-Bong told it to us, was he wrote that. So he came to the ranch, he read our book, he went hiking with us, and then he went to Catalina and had his own experience on Catalina Island, which is where he wrote Heal It. And then he was working on, he had it almost finished. Minus Mike Love's verse when we were in the forest. So we first heard it acoustic. And then the next time we were backpacking with him in Yosemite, we heard the version with the instrumentation that Nathan from Ayaterra had done. And so we heard it was Nathan's instruments and K-Bong's scratch vocals. And then we were just like brainstorming about who would be cool to collaborate on that verse. And what Mike Love did with it was above and beyond what I could have imagined for that song. So I'm really, really excited to see that played live at some point. I'm really excited to hear the other new songs on this album. And yeah.
And the other big hit is going to be Walk with the Sun.
Yeah.
You haven't heard it yet, but I'm telling you, it is a
banger. Yeah.
It is so good. So
yeah. So
check it out. Yeah.
And what am I grateful for? Group Gratitude Circle. I am grateful for the opportunity to do this work, to hike across the state of Michigan. I'm grateful to do this with you and share this experience with you, Mr. Williams, and also deeply, deeply grateful for the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance for pointing us in the direction of Mr. Terry, who has been a literal angel on this trail, putting the angel in trail angel.
Yeah.
What are you thankful for?
Same thing. I mean, the ability to do this with you, no matter how fussy you can get, like when you got 2 hours of sleep the other night because it was so hot.
Oh, I didn't even tell that story. That's fine.
Well, you got 2 hours of sleep because it was so hot. And, in retrospect, when you're like, I was bouncing around, I was so excited, and you're like all fussy about it. I'm like, I get to walk with my wife all day through nature.
Yeah. What is there to be fussy about?
What is there to be fussy about? So that I get to hang out with you. I get to meet people like Pastor Rob, who gives me faith in the religious community.
Yes.
Concerning the drivel that goes on what's going on these days.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel pretty swell.
Yeah. I feel pretty swell too. Yeah. So shout out to Solomon, shout out to UST, shout out to Ross Chocolate, shout out to Muffin But Good Vibes. all of the people that are registered for Take a Hike Diabetes, everybody in the Hiking My Feelings family, and all of the donors far and wide, whether it's $1, $33, $300, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, whatever it is that you're able to contribute. We appreciate it so much, and we couldn't do this work without you. So thank you. We're out.